This is the TNA Wrestling January 23, 2025 full show results video. TNA World Champion Joe Hendry's music then hits and he makes his way down to the ring. Hendry starts off by saying say his name and he appears, then says he is the TNA World Champion. Hendry then thanks the fans and says they had his back and the journey to the title was then, but this is now. Hendry then says he went to Santino Marella and told him that not only will he be a fighting champion, but he will put his title on the line against anyone from anywhere. Hendry then tells the fans to trust him when he says anything can happen because for the first time in 8 years Impact is live. Santino Marella then makes his way out and congratulates Hendry, then confirms that he spoke to Hendry about being a fighting champion who will defend the title inside and outside of TNA. Santino then says he had someone who took him up on the offer and that person will face Hendry in the main event. Matt Cardona then makes his way out and is identified as the person who will challenge Hendry for the TNA World title in the main event. We then head to the back, where Eric Young is speaking with Steve Maclin and telling him that Alexander is worth saving. Maclin says he is happy with Young, who explains that he reached down and pulled up Maclin and will do the same for Alexander. Maclin then says Young doesn't owe Alexander anything, then Josh Alexander shows up and says he isn't there to make excuses for his behavior and everything that's happened. Alexander then says he was there to say he respects both men and wanted to thank them for everything. Young then shakes hands with Alexander, but Maclin leaves him hanging. Gia Miller is backstage and she tries to get a word with Nick Namath. Ryan Namath then shows up and tries to hog the spotlight. Nick then tells Gia he will address everyone next week. Then we saw a match between Masha Slamovich and Spitfire vs Rosemary, Heather, and Ash by Elegance. Ash slapped Threat across the face to start the match, then Threat responded with a forearm that put Ash down on the mat. Heather struck Threat's back with one of the stick horses, which led to an early near fall for Ash and Luna performed German suplexes on Ash. NXT's Cora Jade made her entrance and walked to the ring with an envelope in her hand. Once she arrived at ringside, she handed the envelope to Slamovich, who opened it and found a photo of herself with a red X over her body. Then Ash shoved Luna into Slamovich and then rolled up Luna and pinned her, and Rosemary, Heather, and Ash by Elegance won the match by pinfall. The walking weapon Josh Alexander's music then hits and he makes his way down to the ring with the Northern Armory. Alexander starts off by saying at Genesis he quit TNA and then thanks TNA for letting him come out and address this because they didn't have to. Alexander then says he broke at Genesis when he gave everything he had at Mike Santana and it wasn't enough and then reconfirms that Santana is the new standard of TNA. Alexander then says he doesn't want to be remembered for the guy he's been the last few months as he believes the good of what he's done in this company outweighs the bad. Alexander then talks about growing up being a TNA fan and says the time he's been here has been special to him but he needs to step away. Alexander then puts over the Northern Armory and says they are one of the best up-and-coming tag teams in the world and asks them to do things the right way because they have to do it without them. The Northern Armory then tells him they can't leave and they attack Josh Alexander. Eric Young then makes his way the ring and chases the Northern Armory off and Young challenges the Northern Armory to a match next week with Josh Alexander as his tag team partner and Alexander doesn't seem thrilled about this. Judas Icarus and Travis Williams then nods in approval. The next match happened between Moose and JDC versus the Hardys. Moose and JDC attacked the Hardys and then the referee rewarded them for it by calling for the bell to start the match. The Hardys battled back quickly and Jeff hit Poetry in Motion on JDC. Alicia grabbed Matt's foot to cause a distraction and then Moose hit him from behind to put the heel duo on the offensive. Matt fought off JDC and made a hot tag to Jeff, which got a rise out of the crowd. Jeff put Moose down with a twist of fate and then went up top and Alicia distracted the referee while JDC stopped Jeff from hitting his finisher, then Matt pulled JDC down ringside and worked him over. In the end, Moose ran up the ropes, but Jeff Hardy knocked him down with a headbutt and then hit him with a swanton bomb, and the Hardys won the match by pinfall. We then get another video for the number 23. Tom Hannafan says today is January 23rd, so the reveal of whatever this build-up is should likely take place tonight. Sami Callihan then makes his way down to the ring and Callihan says he is sick of waiting on whatever 23 is and calls them out right now. Steph DeLander then makes her way out and says she's the number 23 and that she's the new TNA Digital Media Champion that she got in the divorce, but PCO isn't mentioned by name. DeLander then introduces her new boyfriend, Mance Warner. Mance Warner then attacks Sami Callihan with the Digital Media Championship and makes out with DeLander. Ariana Grace then joins the commentary desk for the next match of the night, which is a WWE NXT Tag Team Championship match. The next match happened between Fraxium versus the Rascals for the WWE NXT Tag Team Championship. Wentz hit Axiom with a superkick and then went for a springboard move, but Axiom caught him with a superkick of his own. Fraser went for a springboard move moments later and was caught with a double superkick. The Rascals performed a Doomsday Neckbreaker on Axiom for a near fall. Wes Lee came out and distracted the referee while Tyree Ekigwe and Tyson DuPont came out and crotched Miguel on the top turnbuckle. They pulled Wentz to ringside and ran him into the ring steps. In the ring, Axiom hit a top rope Spanish fly on Miguel. Fraser followed up with a Phoenix Splash and then Axiom covered Miguel for the win and retained the NXT Tag Team Championship. Mike Santana made his entrance through the crowd and he said his father taught him to be a man of his word and he said he's done that since he returned to TNA. Santana said he went toe-to-toe with one of the best wrestlers and credited Josh Alexander with carrying the company on his back and reaching the point that the show was able to go live. Santana said his goal in 2025 is to be the TNA World Champion. Mustafa Ali walked out dressed in a suit and had 4 Secret Service agents stand on the stage while he went to the ring. An Ali chant broke out once he entered the ring and Ali told the fans to settle down and then announced that he is signed with TNA. Ali said there was work to be done and the company needs great leadership and he is that great leader. He said he wants to give the fans something to believe in and he is launching a campaign to become the next TNA World Champion. Santana stood in the corner and shook his head in disgust and Ali told the crowd to remember, "In Ali we trust," to wrap up his promo. Ali went to the apron and never made eye contact with Santana, who simply watched him leave the ring. Tessa Blanchard's music then hits and she makes her way down to the ring. Blanchard starts off by saying it's good to be back in Blanchard country, but this crowd doesn't seem to agree. Blanchard then continues to talk about her family's history and the crowd continues to boo. Blanchard then heals the crowd and embraces the hate by running down their local sports team, then says her family knew she could be greater than Stone Cold Steve Austin or Terry Funk. Blanchard then says the standard in TNA has been raised and she took out the trash last week at Genesis and she answers to no one. Frankie Kazarian then joins the commentary desk for the main event. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between Joe Hendry versus Matt Cardona for the TNA World Championship. Hendry performed a delayed vertical suplex on Cardona, who saw a t-shirt to start the match. Cardona eventually took off the t-shirt and used it to choke Hendry at ringside and then jumped off the ring steps and was caught by Hendry, who gave him an attitude adjustment on the apron. Hendry hoisted up Cardona again, but Cardona raked his eyes and then ran him into the ring steps. Cardona hit Hendry with a low blow and then looked into a ringside camera and smiled and then went to ringside and grabbed the TNA World Championship belt from the timekeeper's area. John JBL Layfield came out and stopped Cardona from returning to the ring. Layfield put Cardona down with a short arm clothesline, then Hendry and Layfield locked eyes for a few seconds and then Layfield made his exit. Hendry ducked another title belt shot attempt and then hit the standing ovation and won the match by pinfall to successfully retain the TNA World Championship. After the match, Hendry celebrates his title win while Cardona thanks the fans for joining them for the first live edition of TNA Impact in 8 years and the show comes to a close. How much you would rate to the first TNA live episode after 8+ years? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching the video.